peace and grace, everyone. This is Koluka Solo by Otito coming to you again with another study. Absolutely about the revolution of your mind. That's right. Everything we bring forth, everything I'm trying to bring forth is about the revolution of your mind. What I mean by the revolution of your mind, I mean by dispelling the myths and the lies. I mean, everyone's entitled to believe what they want to believe. And I'm all for that. But what I'm bringing forth here is information that was presented in the book of Jubilees, chapter 8 and 9. It is the only book that details the territories from a standpoint that it still can be tracked in modern times. The Bible does, the KJV does list names and cities and stuff like that, but we have to think we got a lot of mistranslations, and a lot of names been moved around. So a lot of those places can't be verified. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing you could do is just take their word. You know what I'm saying? So, but the book of Jubilees, it's not a new book. It's a book that's been around since early time. You know what I'm saying? Since before AD. You know what I'm saying? Even before the Messiah's time, the book of Jubilees has been around. So you could read any of the book of Jubilees. They all translate pretty much the same. But there's a few of them that misses verses here and there. So I don't like using those. But what we're using today, we're going to use this version of the book of Jubilees, as I'm showing here today. It is translated by R.H. Charles. Okay, translated by R.H. Charles. The book of Jubilees, or called the Little Genesis, and it was translated or published back in 1902. Okay, so this is the version we're going to use today. Using this based on the fact that this one has a lot of commentary in it that the translator made about the book of Jubilees. All right, and it's common. The things mentioned that he mentions in the commentary, it is the common and the mainstream beliefs about different things about the things written in the book of Jubilees. Funny thing about the book of Jubilees, they didn't even know it existed before for a while until they discovered it in the Ethiopian church, which had not been colonized. Okay, so it's a very ancient text. You know what I'm saying? It's just that they didn't have any copies of it. They thought it was gone, you know what I'm saying, couldn't find it, but they had it in the Ethiopic church. Okay, so this has been translated from the Ethiopic version. All right, so today we're going to talk about the western borders of Ham's territory. Okay, excuse me if I'm having some audio problems. It's looks like I got a little shortage on one of my cables, but you still should be able to hear me. We're going to talk about the western borders of Ham's territory, the one they called Ham. Okay, and we already discussed Shem's territory, and I brought forth proof, that the Nile River was the river of abyss. And it says that river pours this river into the sea Miyat. Okay, the Nile River can only pours this river into one other sea. Now I say it pours this water into the sea Miyat. It's only one sea that the Nile runs into, and that's the Mediterranean. So that made that a little bit more easier, you know what I'm saying, knowing that. But there's no other point of sea that's big enough to separate a district of north and south. You know what I'm saying? As it says in the book of Jubilees, let me see if I don't want to lose my place right there. Let me see if I can find that right quick. I think it's page 60. Let's try that. Because it's nowhere in there that, it's nowhere in that area where you can make that kind of distinction between the north and the south. There's no sea that big in that whole territory that would be able to separate the north and south, except for the Mediterranean Sea. If there was some questions, let's read this right quick, right? I'm at chapter 8 in the book of Jubilees, starting at verse 12. And there came forth on the writing Hashem's lot, the middle of the earth, which he should take as an inheritance for himself and for his sons and for the generations of eternity. From the middle of the mountain range of Rapha, from the mouth of the water, from the river Tina, and his portion goes towards the west, through the midst of this river, and it extends till it reaches the water of the abyss, which I brought forth was the Nile River, out of which this river goes forth and pours its water into the sea Miat. And there's no other way, there's no other sea that the Nile can run into except through the Mediterranean. And it almost sounds like the Miat, Mediterranean is named, I believe, it's my opinion, that it's named after the Medes, right? Because they was given that territory right above it. And it says, and this river flows into the great sea. And this part right here, all that is towards the north is Japheth. All that is towards the south belongs to Shem. So that separation, the Mediterranean Sea, you know what I'm saying? All that's towards the north is Japheth. It's unquestionable that that area, Europe, is Japheth's territory. Okay, well, this question is, the claim that has been made that Africa is the land of Ham, the whole of Africa, right? But here it says, what's beneath the Mediterranean Sea, all that is towards the south belongs to Shem. Now, here's the problem. The problem is this. When they're given the understanding of territories, the people in the past, here's what they've said. It says Ham portion. This portion embraces all Africa, from the mouth of the Nile westward and southward, and certain parts of Asia, which are vaguely defined. Now, rightly put, it would be correct. You know what I'm saying? There's certain parts of Asia. And here's the thing. What is the real Asia? You know what I'm saying? Let's go to the name of Shem. Shem. Let's get his real name. Let's go to Shem. All right, let's look up Shem right quick. Okay. So we got Shem right here, right? I have a contention that this letter right here, which people believe to be a M, I have a contention that that's actually an N, right? If you look at the transliteration of what his name means, Shem, the name means name. If you look in most of the transliterations of the name in all the Bantu, in the majority of the Bantu languages, it would say Shin, Shin, DJIN or SIN, SHIN, or some combination thereof. Shin. Not only that, I have other information that tells me that this letter would be a N or possibly an L, and that's based on another transliteration given in some other books, which I'm going to present when I really go into the depth speaking about names. Okay, so that's where the confusion comes. It's like they took the map and school made they shifted everything eastward, and then came with the notion that it's nothing else beyond the western coast, beyond the west coast of Africa. I think this translator even says so himself, that there is nothing else beyond the western coast of Africa, the western end of Africa. There's nothing else beyond it. It's the land of unknown. Nobody's ever been there. In all the maps, the ancient maps that the Europeans drew up, they really believed that. They did not include the Americas in their maps. Okay? But it's funny that even as there has been, this interpreter even believes so himself, I don't even know if he understands what he was doing or what he was saying. It's like his understanding is twofold. I don't get it, because when it's describing Ham's land, he actually gives you the definition of some of the places. Let's read about it. Okay. And this where it shows right here is going to come into play. All right. So let's read about it. Let's go back up. Let's go back up. And this is Jubilees chapter 8, verses 22. All right. And it says, for Ham came forth the second portion beyond the Gihon towards the south, to the right of the garden. And it extends towards the south, and it extends to all the mountains of fire. And it extends towards the west, to the sea of Etel. Now, everybody knows which way is the west, right? West is going towards the opposite of the sunrise. Okay, let me see. You can see my mouse. West is going that way. You know what I'm saying? Let's pull up a map right quick. Let me pull up a map right quick so I can show which direction is. I can pull up which direction is west. Nope, didn't mean to do that. Let's see. Okay, so west would be going this way. Okay, so he says it goes to the south. It goes around the Gihon, which I said was the Congo River. All right, it followed that all the way around, then down to the mountains of fire. Then it says it goes west to the sea of Tel, right? That's what it says. West is that way. That way, folks. That way. Okay. And this way is east, where the sun rises. Okay. Just so we clear on that. West is going that way. I wish I could draw the arrow. You know what I'm saying? All right. It's going towards the Atlantic, towards South America. That's going towards west from where he's given. Okay. So just want to make that clear. Let's go back to what it says. And it extends towards the west to the sea of Etel. Pause. Let's go down where he says what the Etel is. In his own transliteration, he says the Etel is the Atlantic. In his very own translation. Now he's giving out the territory of Ham, but yet I don't know, he don't see it, right? But it doesn't stop at the Atlantic. Okay, what does it do? It says, and it extends towards the west till it reaches the Sea of Mo'uk. Now, let's not get funny here now and say he's talking about a little sea, because in biblical terms, when they was talking about seas, they was talking about oceans. Okay, when they was talking about seas, they were talking about ocean. Point being, he just said that the Sea of Vitel, and he went down in his own explanation and said it was the Atlantic Ocean, right? Same wise with the Sea of Ma'uk, it's another ocean, right? Let's even see what he says about it. This sea or ocean lies in the extreme west. Okay? Says this sea or ocean lies in the extreme west. Then he questions, is the word a distortion of Oceanos, the great ocean stream? Everything which is not destroyed descends, equals everything perishable descends. Okay? What is required is probably is if anything descends into it perishes. Okay? So it says that reaches the Sea of Mu'uk, that sea into which everything which is not destroyed descends. Okay? So basically, when you travel, when you're going around the map, and you're going west, right? Because we're going past the Sea of Vitel, which is the Atlantic, right? We're going past that. Okay. Now, when you reach, if you're going around towards the bottom, right, it's this area right here that's called the Drake, oh my God, what they call that thing? The Drake Passage. Okay. And it's so turbulent because the current is very strong in this area. So everything's get pulled into it. It's called the Drake Passage right here. Let's look it up. Drake Passage right here. A lot of things get pulled into it because the current is so strong. Let's look that up. The Drake Passage. Okay. I'm just reading the first thing that comes up. All right. All right. And it says the Drake Passage is a turbulent 600 wide body of water between Cape Horn at the southern tip of South Africa and the South Shetland Islands of Antarctica. It is the shortest route to the Antarctic continent and is known for treacherous seas due to the uninterrupted Arctic circumpolar current, okay, which creates some of the world's roughest waters. All right. So that's what it was talking about. It's talking about that the Drake Passage being so rough because of the currents right there in that area. You know what I'm saying? It's known for that. It's, you know, matter of fact, let me see, pull up something on Wikipedia. Yeah, let's do that. All right. So that little portion right there. Yeah. See, it's so, that current right there is so strong. You know what I'm saying? At the bottom of South America, a lot of stuff get pulled in there. You know what I'm saying? And they say it makes some of the roughest waters. So I can imagine the people writing Jubilees and explaining it. You know what I'm saying? Talking about this current is so rough, everything descends into it. Okay. So yeah, just wanted to show that. Okay, let's close that out. Let's go back to the Book of Jubilees. All right, so it says, so we passed the tail with the Atlantic, and we have to see the sea into which everything which is not destroyed descends, right? Now, that's what I'm saying. He wrote, even in his own translations, that the moon, you know what I'm saying, was a sea or ocean in the extreme west. Yet and still, he still says that Ham was Africa's land, all of it. You know what I'm saying, past the Nile. I mean, it just goes to show you that, you know, they held on to, even with all this information. Excuse me. Even with, I got a little shortage in this wire. Even with all the information that he had, and the translation skills that he had, or whatever, he still was stuck on the sense that Africa was Ham's land, because that's what he was always taught. Obviously, so it influenced what he believed. You know what I'm saying, and everything. Even though in his own translation he tells you, you know what I'm saying. So I tell you, man, some people call it cognitive dissonance or whatever. I don't know. When you believe something so much and you get other information, it's hard for you to retract from that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of what happened. It influenced his decision, even though it's right there in black and white. He translated himself. Still couldn't see it no other way. All right, but let's bring forth some other proof that the Mo'uk is the ocean. It's the Pacific Ocean. All right, let's go look at. Let's see. Let's go look at. What did the natives call the Pacific Ocean? I think that's a good place to start. What did the natives call the Pacific Ocean? Let's look at that. Okay, so I just found this on the internet right quick. And what did the natives call the Pacific Ocean? I gotta put something right there for that shortage. Yeah. Okay, let me see. One second, y'all. Just trying to get this audio on point. Looks like got a little shortage here. All right. So, the Kushia people. There's a native South American tribe. Oh, by the way, I think it's a good time to add this too. When you translate Ham, the actual translation is Haman, not Ham. Let's go look at it. And I'm talking, that's the root of it. Let's look at that before we do this. Let's look at the translation right quick of Ham. Okay. So now, this original one says, Ham, this, could have been, really can. I said that's an N, right? Can. Right? But let's look at the root. Because the root always tell you the truth. All right. So we're looking at the root, and we got Cayman. Okay, this is a K. Sometimes this can be a Z too, or a Z sound. Cayman, right? Cayman, and you got the Cayman Islands, right, up in the Caribbean Ocean. So, I mean, we can see their names there. But now, if you translate the word hot in most Bantu languages, you would get Kis, Kush, or something to that degree. Kis, Kush, something like that. Okay, so I wouldn't be surprised if some of the sons of what we call Ham will call themselves Cushites, Kis, something to that degree. So just one little point I wanted to bring out. But again, what did they call the Pacific Ocean? Just close that out. All right. The Kushia people. The Inca who spoke Kushia called the Pacific Ocean Mama Oka, Mama Ocha, Mama Oka, Mama Kocha, Mama Kocha, Mama Kocha. Translates to Lady Sea or Mother Sea. For the Inca, the ocean was a deity, and offerings were made to springs and streams that were seen as her daughters. Now we know from the teachings that I have of the Nazarenes that most of the ancient tribes, a lot of the ancient tribes, what they did was turn their ancestors into gods. You know what I'm saying? Which was like a prevalent thing, you know what I'm saying, even in the continent of Africa, but that was kind of like worldwide. Once they ancestors died and they missed them, you know what I'm saying? Later on in time, they elevated them to a level of a god of some sort. So some of the South Americans called the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, the Lady Goddess. You know what I'm saying? The goddess of the sea. You know what I mean? So, anyways, the name Mama Kocha, Mama Kocha. Now, I always tell you, when we look at the name Mauk, come back there in a minute. When you look at the name Mauk, when they put the apostrophe there, a lot of times it's a missing letter. You know what I'm saying? So Mauk, and they got it Mama Coke, Cooch. I don't know how you pronounce it. The CH in that language. Okay. But just look at the similarities, right? We got to look at the similarities. Okay, where'd that go? Yeah, where'd that go? Okay. Let's look at the similarities. Mama Kocha. So if you was to hide that C, what would you get? Maoka. If you was to hide that C, Mama Oka. You know what I'm saying? Anyways. And then it says there's a people called the Mapuk people in South America between the Andes and the Pacific Ocean. I'm just saying, you hide that letter, what you got? I'm just saying. And then you got the what it says down at the bottom here. In modern Kushia, the influence of Spanish is apparent, with the Pacific Ocean referred to as the Pacificu Mama Kusha. Mama Kusha. Mama Kucha. Mama Kucha. And what was the name of those? Mauk. Come on, man. I ain't even got to try hard. You know what I'm saying? It's there. It's there. You know what I'm saying? The specific, as a matter of fact, the Spanish was the ones that named it the Pacific Ocean, because when they landed on the coast of South America, on that particular side, they said that when they arrived at certain areas, it was very peaceful on certain parts of the water. You know what I'm saying? And that's why they called it the Pacific. Spanish did, okay? But that wasn't its original name. All right, so wanted to bring that point forward. I already told you that Hawaiians call it that very long name. We can get into its origin. My religious. Let's look at that too for a second. Let's go to 3. So, okay, because they call it the Moana Uka, something like that. Moana. Oh God, I gotta find it again. Let me see, Moana Uka or something like that. The okay. There you go. The Moana Ukia. Okay. Now before we go into that whole thing, um, before we go to that whole thing, right? Let's look at this. I want to show y'all something. Right? You see what's called the Sea of Ma'uk. I want to show y'all something right quick, right? Let's look at the name of Ham's wife. Okay. This is the name of Ham's wife. Ni'ela Tamauk. I believe that's where the name Ma'uk came from. Ham's wife. You know what I'm saying? Haman's wife, if that's his real name. Haman of Keep or Kees. Ni'ela Tamauk. I believe that's the name Ma'uk came from. It came from his wife's name. Let's look that up. Let me take a look at that too. Hey, what page is that on? It's on page 61. Okay, yeah, right there. All right. The only thing about reading from this version, you got all these commentaries, so trying to find the actual scriptures sometimes get in the way. All right, so we had chapter 7, right? And I'm gonna read from starting at 14. No, I'm start at 12. God shall enlarge Japheth, and God shall dwell in the dwelling of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Ham shall know that his father had cursed his younger son. And Ham knew that his father had cursed his younger son, and he was displeased that he had cursed his son. And he parted from his father, he and his sons with him, Cush, Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. And he built for himself a city and called its name after the name of his wife, Ni'ela Tamauk. Right, you see that right there? It's Ham. He left and built the city, named it after his wife, Ni'ela Tamauk. So I believe that's where the name Ma'uk come from, right? And then it says, and Japheth saw it, and he became envious of his brother, and he too built for himself a city. He called its name after the name of his wife, Adatenesis. I guess that's how you pronounce it. And Shem dwelt with his father Noah, and he built a city close to his father on the mountain. And he too called its name after the name of his wife, Sedekatel Labab. Sedekatel Labab. If you look right here to see what it's called, the Sea Etel, it's the Atlantic Ocean. I'm just saying, folks, the Atlantic Ocean. You get up here to Mo'uk, that's Ham's. I'm just saying, I don't know what happened. Did Japheth not name his wife an ocean or something? I don't know. I couldn't find nothing on that. I'm just saying, it just looked like Ma'uk is the last part of Ham's wife name. And that's all the way over in the Pacific Ocean to the extreme west. They named it after their ancestors. You know what I'm saying? It's become obvious. Okay, it says in these texts, the names of Ham's son are Keith, Masterim, Food, and Canaan, right? And then there's just a commentary. Neelatamauk, that's the name of Ham's wife. It says this name is found in the Syriac fragment as Neel Ma'uk. Matter of fact, this one don't even got a T in it. The Syriac fragment don't even got a T in it. This is N. You got the two A's, the L, the M, the AA, the U, and the Q. Neel Ma'uk. But I guess he got the T from some other translation. And it says in the Eutychius of Alexandria, Annals, page 35, the name is translated as Nalat. Okay. Why am I bringing this out? Because when you look at the name, you got the Moana, you know what I'm saying? The Hawaiians call it the Moana, Moana Anauki or something. You see what I'm saying? There's similarities, right? And then it says the first part of the compound may be, now he's speculating what the name may have come from, right? And then it says in the second part from this right here, which it really don't translate to Ma'uk to me. It translates to Masuk or Maguk, because of this letter right here. It's like he's totally ignoring this one right here. But this is what he's speculating that it comes from. All right, I don't know where he's getting the translation from. But anyways, I just wanted to show that, you know, the naming of the oceans were similar to the name of the wife of Ham, and also the Atlantic, possibly the name after Shem's wife. All right. So see, Moana says Moana's lying down the ocean, the sea, generally, particularly the deep places of the sea. Okay, Moana, broad, wide, extent. Oh, by the way, the prefix mo in the Hawaiian language means like descendant. One of the definitions of mo in this language is descendant. Okay, so you got descendant, the Moana, such and such. Okay, the AI don't know everything. I don't, you know, every once in a while I look at the AI, what they say, but not all. I don't really be looking for answers from the AI. You know what I'm saying? I be looking for answers from places like this, dictionaries and stuff like that. Now, maybe AI sometimes can give me a lead because they pull in from different information, but sometimes the information is not accurate. You know what I'm saying? If I counted on AI, I would have never been able to follow the route of Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Impossible. You know what I'm saying? It takes a little deep more questioning and researching, and you know what I'm saying? And when you get a lead, you jump on it, you know? So that's kind of like how I did this thing. And it says the Moana K is salt, the salt sea, literally the salt ocean. Okay. Then it goes to Moana Pake. Okay, salt ocean, the salt sea. And then it says the Moana, same as the Moana K. Now I went and looked up the Moana K. All right. And then it got the Mu'uk up there. We're going to see. I'm going to show you in a minute. But I'm tripping on this, right? Because they're giving scripture verses that you can't even find. Like this, it says Nam 34 verses 3. Couldn't find it. Nam 34 verses 12, couldn't find it. So maybe they got some books where it really shows the Pacific Ocean in the Bible. I didn't see it. I couldn't find no Nam 34:12, you know. So, you know, again, like I said, some information. We don't have all the information. We're seeking to find a lot of this information, right? All right, let's go to where it says the same as Moana K. Moana K, because we're looking at this is what they call the Hawaiians call the Pacific Ocean. Right? I'm trying to show you. if there's some similarities in the names with the Mauk. You know what I mean? We already saw what the native South Americans called it, Mama Oka. You know what I'm saying? That Mama Oka, Mama Coke, Mama. We go back to it in a minute because I don't want to mess it up. All right, let's go to what page I'm looking for. Let's go to 354. Page 354. Oh, if you want to know where I'm reading from, I'm reading this from a dictionary of the Hawaiian language. Okay. A dictionary of the Hawaiian language, and this was published in 1865. 1865, okay? Dictionary of the Hawaiian language. Now, it has some American influence, Spanish influence, so everything ain't absolutely indigenous, but it's a good, have some information in it, at least that we find useful. So I'm grateful for that. All right, so here we're looking at the Mackay. It says Ma, and then it says KC. Ma means at, and then KC. Okay, so it's two words, Mackay. Ma means at, and K means sea. At or towards the sea, in opposition to Mauka, inland. Right? So I guess, and when I looked at Mauka is like the beach on the sea, beach on the ocean, basically. Okay. So, that it's there. Where else in any other language you're going to get it like that, except for the indigenous people? You know what I'm saying? To help us find out what was the Sea of Mauk. You know what I'm saying? Let's go back to what the indigenous people, the sea in the South American language means the Mayu, in the Arawakan language. See that there? Here are some terms for the sea in specific indigenous South American language. The Mayu, the Yaku, the Uku, right? So it's two words. It means the lady in the sea, lady of the sea. So you got the Uku, the Mayu, the Yaku, right? Now, if we look up lady in the South American languages, this is like, let me see if I got something on that. Yeah. We got Cholita, and then I forgot who this one came from. The term Cholita, which was once a derogatory connotation, has widely reclaimed by indigenous, particularly in Bolivia, as a term of pride and identity. Okay, what else I got on that? Pala. In the Kushia language, you got Pala, right? Pala, right? Now, what was Ham's wife's name? Nuala Tamauk, Nuala Tamauk. We already just seen what they call the sea. The Uka, the Mayu. Here it is right here. See? The lady means Pala, and then the sea means, in some language, Mayu or the Uka. So it'd be like Pala Uka, Pala Mayuka, something like that. Yeah, Pala Yaku. Look, I'm just trying to put it together. You know what I'm saying? But when we look at Ham's wife's name, Niella Tamauk. You see, we saw Maya, Uka, Fasi, all of that. For lady, we saw Pella, what was the other one? Pella, I forgot what the other one was. Oh my God. Got too much on my mind, y'all. But it was Pella. Let me see if I can pull it back up again. Yeah. Oh, Kolita. That's what it was. Kolita. This one says Nalita. The other one says Kolita. That's what it was. Kolita. We got no Neolita. Down here is Nalita. So the verbiage, the vowels change. Because up here it says E. And here is A. All right. Even in yeah, it is E there is A here. Because this right here is A. If you want proof of that, I got that from the Syriac language. Let me show you that. So y'all don't be thinking I'm over here making up stuff. All right. It's obvious it was written in the Surter script. All right, let's blow that up. They go to N right there. Okay. The vowels was used was the A, 2 A's. You see that right there. You see the L right there. And then the M right here. And the L, M. Then it came with 2 more A's. Right there. And then the other one was a vowel, the U. That's this right here. And then they go to Q. All right. They go to Q right there. All right. Let's look at that again. There you go right there. N, A, the L, the M, the A, the U, and the Q. All right. But so that Ma'uk was named after Ham's wife. I can't see it no other way. You know what I'm saying? And it is the Pacific Ocean. That was the direction that Ham went, to the extreme west. It would seem logical that his family named it, the ocean after their ancestor or whatever. That's what a lot of people do. Name the lands after their ancestor, their family members, and whatnot. So, I wanted to bring that forward. So it brings, more proof of the cutout that I demonstrated in the breakdown of the Revelation of Jubilees, chapter 8. And I showcased all the lands, how it was properly cut out. You know what I'm saying? Ham going to the extreme west, it's past the west coast of Africa, obviously, right? Because we had to cross the Atlantic into the next sea, past the Atlantic, which was the Pacific Ocean. Then his land goes towards the north, right? And all of Gadir, to the north of Gadir, which I believe is probably some, either Ecuador or, maybe a portion of the strip of land of the current Mexican territory. You know what I'm saying? I mean, where's the map at? So it went up north this way. So when it says Gadir, it's either talking about Ecuador, this area right here, or up here. Could have went up this way because we have the Cayman Islands over here somewhere. The Cayman Islands. Yeah, we got the Grand Cayman Islands. So we know, like I told you, Ham's name translated into Cayman. So it's possible Ham's land could have came up this far, somewhere up here, Guadalupe. You know what I'm saying? And went this way. But it's obviously it covered all of South America. Okay. And then it goes back into the sea, okay, and heads back to the Gaihan. which is the Congo. Right now, I know this is some new breakdown. It's a new understanding. Well, I don't want to say it's new. It's just being brought forth, right? But what I always say, this is the revolution of your mind. You know what I'm saying? It is the revolution of your mind. You know, when we want to get to the truth, you know what I'm saying? It's like I said, they shifted everything eastward. Ham's land is shifted all the way to Africa. So Asia, where I said Shin, they add the A. There wasn't no A before it. That's what the foreigners did. They add the A, then it becomes Asian. So now Asia is all that territory. When Asia was the land of Shem, which was Africa. Okay, and that is the true name of Shem's, Shin. Okay, so that's where the name Asian came from. You know, and this is why we cannot discover. When we hear Afro-Asiatic, you thinking Middle East. No, it's Africa. They shifted everything towards that direction, which is Japheth land. All of this is Japheth's territory. You know what I'm saying? According to the book of Jubilees. All right. According to the book of Jubilees, it's no other land where you can decipher north and south. There's no sea big enough where you can cipher north and south that separate two peoples like the Mediterranean Sea, the Sea Miat. Right? That's the sea that everything from the Nile descends into. It's there, black and white. You know what I'm saying? In print. I just brung it forth. Don't hate the player. You know what I'm saying? Master the game. It's the revolution of your mind. I'm Oda producer, also known as Koluka Solo Wa Otito, saying peace to all of you that has the peace within you to receive the truth.